Welcome to today's episode. Today we will be talking about common pitfalls or mistakes that people make with their money. These are all things that are easy to fall into if you're not aware. So we're going to talk about different ones that we are aware of in hopes of shedding some light on things you need to watch out for. Becca, why don't you start us off?
Okay. A big thing I've noticed as people talk to me and ask me questions is trying to get rich quickly.
Yeah, there's actually a verse in the Bible, and I'll put the verse in the reference on the screen here so that you can see it. But basically it says people that get rich quickly don't stay that way.
Yeah. And I see it often in the same people. It kind of is what you're saying, yeah. People who try to get rich quickly stay that way. Or don't stay that way. But they do stay in that mentality a lot. It is hard to move on.
Yeah, they have a I'm rich mentality, so they overspend their money to the point that they don't have it anymore. And
that even if you get rich quick one time, that just reinforces the mentality of I can do this again. And it's even less likely the second and third time, right?
Yeah, you really see it. There's a lot of news stories out there about lottery winners who win millions, and then now they're right back to working a normal 9 to 5 job because they have literally blown it on things that have no worth, and it's just gone.
Yeah. And so on that, I see it so often that people spend so much time, that people stay in this mentality of chasing and striving to get rich quick, but they do it for years and decades of their life to the point that they've wasted so much time trying to get rich quickly or coming up with the next big thing that they haven't spent any of that time building up their wealth.
Right. They could have been spending that effort and that time on better using the resources that they do have.
Yeah.
A lot of people that have that mentality that, I'm going to get rich quick because of this, this, and this, are terrible with their spending because, I have more money coming. It's going to be here.
Well, and essentially it's, how can I get the most for the easiest way?
Right. And if they had spent that time with self-improvement and learning new skills to be better at their job or better at a real job that earns you money, they would have been much better off and had accumulated more wealth over that period of time.
Yeah. The people I see who get out of a situation they don't want to be in are the people who take whatever job they can get until they can get a better one. And they do the hard work.
Right. The last statistic I saw on the lottery winners was that 70% of lottery winners end up filing bankruptcy.
Wow.
Isn't that nuts?
Yeah.
70% of them. And so the same is true for people who get a sudden inheritance. Like you have a relative pass away and you get a large amount of money. And so if that happens and you inherit a lot, you definitely want to find someone that's a financial advisor or a financial coach to help you manage and plan how to live with that money. Because that's a situation where you didn't intend to get rich quickly, but you did. And most people, again, if they don't know how to handle that much money, they don't handle it well.
$1 million is not actually a lot of money in America. And so even less than that, which a lot of inheritances would probably be less than that, is even less money.
Right.
So it seems like a lot more than you're used to, but that doesn't mean it lasts forever. Another common pitfall that I've noticed, and we both have, we've talked about this a lot, is just the failure to plan. And again, it kind of stems back to that, I want to do this the easiest way possible, right? It's why it's hard to build discipline on savings and all of that as well. And so failing to plan is planning to fail, right? You say that all the time. And one of the things, again, it's a quote from my dad, is good choices or actions get good consequences, and bad choices or actions get bad consequences. And so that's just like it stuck with me and my sister forever, an easy way to think through why it's worth that effort now to plan.
So what kind of things do you think people fail to plan for?
Oh, honestly, everything. I think...
Because, lots of people just don't budget at all.
Well, and just it's a scary thing, and also it's so easy to forget what's there. But a big one that I think even people who do plan forget is emergencies. Or routine maintenance to prevent emergencies.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good one. Most people don't plan for emergencies. They don't have an emergency fund, which we highly recommend. You should start with probably at least $1,000 as your emergency fund. And long term, you should build that to 3 to 6 months worth of expenses so that if you lose your job or something like that, it makes life a lot easier if you have that money saved up.
Yes. And then, like, referring to a car, because it's easy, budgeting your oil change. You may not know how often you need that, because 5,000 miles or whatever isn't always the same timeline. But budgeting ahead for that over the course of a year prevents the emergency of my car doesn't work and I need it.
Yes, and that's a major repair. A $50 oil change can quickly turn into a $5,000 engine replacement.
Yeah.
Or more, depending on the type of car.
Yeah.
If you don't do the proper maintenance. That was something my dad taught me as well. Like, change your oil in your vehicles. That is the lifeblood of your car or truck. And if you don't do that, you may not have a car or truck.
Yeah.
And so that was some advice that I really took to heart and I'm thankful for. Because some people just don't know that or know how important it is, know what can go wrong. But it can be a major issue. So you definitely should plan for that. Plan for other maintenance in your budget, because if you don't plan for it, you're still going to have to do it at some point, and then it's going to have to come out of other areas of your spending that you didn't intend for it to come out of.
So, question on that, what would you say is a good way to plan for the emergencies that are actually emergencies, ones you can't sort of prevent?
So if you can't prevent it, then that's where the emergency fund comes into place. Like, I've got $1,000 or hopefully more than that, because some home repairs, like a new air conditioner, can cost a lot more than $1,000. But if it's something that I couldn't prepare for, well, then my emergency fund is going to pay for it, and then I'm going to refund or put more money back into the emergency fund as quickly as I can.
But how do you look around and see what might count as an emergency if I didn't have it tomorrow?
Yeah, we can definitely do a whole podcast on what is and is not an emergency. But maintenance items, for example, are not emergencies. We've talked about that. And that could be tires for your car. That could be an oil change.
Oh, and like you mentioned, air conditioning unit, the whole thing. Like, technically, that has a life on it.
Yes.
It's not an emergency when you have to replace it. True. Usually.
Yes. When we first got married, we knew that our air conditioner only had maybe 5, 6, 7 years left on it, because they only last 20 to 30 years in general, and it was old.
Probably closer to...
And so we saved in advance, knowing that that was going to happen someday. And so you can be prepared for a lot of things.
Yeah. And it still wasn't easy to
No.
get that, but it was a lot. It was just a stress of, like, I don't want to give this money over, not a stress of I can't pay my bills or get food if I give it over.
Yeah, my favorite quote about emergency funds from Dave Ramsey is, emergency funds turn catastrophes into inconveniences. Yep. And that is so true.
Yeah.
It makes life so much easier. Doesn't, it's still upsetting and still annoying when they happen.
Of course.
But it is so much easier
when
you have that
night.
money. Yes.
Yeah.
So another pitfall that people fall into is not believing that success is possible. Not believing that they can't win, that they can't turn their life around, that they're always going to be paycheck to paycheck. You can change. There are different ways to change. You may have to change jobs. You may have to improve the income side of your equation somehow.
Yeah.
Or you may have to change habits and cut expenses somehow. But success is possible. You may need someone to coach you through where your personal pitfalls are. And there are people that can help. We can help with that. Or find someone that is good with money and say, hey, help me out. But success is possible. And if you have the mentality that it's not, then you will never achieve it.
Yes, I think that's great. And on that, just because it's possible doesn't mean it's easy or quick.
For sure.
So talk to the people, do the things you know, and give it a whole year before you look back and judge any portion.
Right.
And be honest, like, is it not changed as much as I wanted because I didn't change as much as I planned?
Right.
Or whatever the thing is. And then give it another year and another year.
Well, we're going to take a whole episode at some point and talk more about budgeting,
Yep.
but when you do your first budget, you will fail the first month to do exactly what it is. And the key is just to adapt the budget, replan, figure out what went wrong, what can we do better, start again the next month.
Yep.
And you're going to fail for probably the first 3 months consistently. And that's okay.
Yeah, and when you say fail, like, a budget is not a have to. A budget is a plan.
That's
and
true.
the first 3 to 6 months, a budget isn't even that. It's just teaching you where your money goes.
Yeah.
To be honest. So you're not really failing, you're just learning a different lesson before you get to the point that you can make a budget that accurately reflects your finances and where the money goes. And then at that point, you can still adjust your budget or choose to deviate, but now you sit down and make a conscious decision.
Yeah, a budget is like a spending plan. It's figuring out where do I want my money to go, and it's easy to get sidetracked and have that money go somewhere else. And that's what I mean when I say fail, is I didn't stick to the plan that I made, and that's okay.
It's just a lesson learned.
Yeah. And then you adjust. Maybe I need more money allocated to this specific thing and less to something else.
Yeah. Yeah, like even businesses amend their budget at the end of the period.
Correct.
So,
on a different note, another pitfall similar to not believing success is possible is not having firm goals and clear vision for what you want your future to look like, what you want your money to look like.
and we have another podcast on our whys if you need inspiration there.
Which would be like our goals.
Yep.
When she says our whys, it's about our reasons why we use money the way we do. Having clear goals on what you want your future to look like will change your behavior today. Having those motivational underpinnings that say these are our whys, that will help you make clear decisions that follow the path towards your future.
It makes saying no to what you shouldn't buy, what you've decided you don't want to buy, a lot easier because you're really just saying yes to your goals.
Right.
So this is one that we've seen a lot too. Essentially the head in the sand mentality, like an ostrich.
Yeah, I saw a meme the other day and it says, I can't go over a budget if I don't have one.
Yes. Yeah, this like almost it's there and I have money and it goes places and it comes in and it leaves. I don't want to look too closely at that. But kind of we mentioned like with budgeting, really the first few months you're just learning where it all goes.
Right.
And so failing to track your income and expenses and failing to be familiar with where it comes in and where it leaves.
And we use software to track ours. We'll do a podcast later to show, like, here's how we do it. But you can do that on pen and paper and just track your income and expenses,
your bank
where
account.
It goes. You can look at your bank account.
Get your bank statements. Those are good.
Add it all up.
A lot of people don't use those anymore, but they can help you for personal use.
Show you where your money goes.
Yep. And so with that, failing to do that and looking into it, you don't see the problem areas, right? And you can't fix what you don't know is broken.
Correct. And it's amazing how many people don't open their bills.
Yeah.
Don't even look. And that just allows more fees to pile on top of what you already have. You have to be honest with yourself about where you are today.
Yeah.
If you want to be somewhere better in the future.
Neurologically, your brain makes mental pathways, and when you repeat them and repeat them and repeat them, it is ingrained to take that path over other ones. And so as far as not opening bills, that's a huge one that is terrifying to so many people. And that terror, that feeling is real. You're feeling that. But continuing to not open those bills, continuing to avoid it,
only makes it worse.
It reinforces and it makes those feelings of dread more and more overwhelming. Whereas opening it is saying, I'm taking control.
Yes.
I'm in charge of where my money goes, and whether or not I pay this bill
I'm at least taking the right steps.
Yes, it has nothing to do with whether or not I look at the bill. I will look at the bill and then decide how to handle the monster.
Right. And so if starting out you need someone to sit with you and help you do that, do that. Yeah. Get someone to be there and be support, and
someone who can be supportive emotionally, even more so than financially. Right. At that moment.
And obviously you have to be careful who that is, because you don't want someone that's going to be like, oh, now that you're feeling sad, let's go blow some money and buy us some fancy dinner so we feel better.
The person who's honest,
you need someone that will support you and
keeps you accountable,
you.
But also loves you through it and won't judge you.
Right. That's good. So similar to that is denial. Head in the sand is probably just oblivious. Denial is...
like, but you make an excuse or justify something that you can tell is wrong for what your goals are, I guess.
Right. Some people are scared of it. Some people intentionally avoid it. Both of those are a pitfall, and they're going to prohibit you from getting out of that trend. Mm-hmm. All right, last one.
Okay, multi-level marketing.
It's also called network marketing.
It is. Yeah. It is. They like to call it that because it sounds nicer.
Right.
Okay.
Why is it a pitfall?
It is, oh man, so many reasons. We're going to have to make multiple podcasts. But first, I think the big reason, I wanted to talk about it is, one, investment-wise, you don't normally get what you put in. You lose more than you get.
Most people don't make money.
That's
with them, yes.
Well, yeah. You lose money, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, lots of people lose money because some of them you have to buy inventory for.
Yeah.
And that costs money on the front end, and then if you don't sell it, you're the one on the hook.
And I think specifically, and it's maybe not so finance related, but I think it's important to talk about, because so many of them present themselves as an opportunity for women
to and
stay-at-home women to have a purpose and a goal that gives them more value than just, I take care of the house or I take care of the kids. But the problem is, really, and the person who sells to you is not this person. We're talking about the very top executives of your multi-level marketing. And even their intentions may not be this. But how it plays out with every single one of them, time after time, is that they are taking advantage of an emotional hard spot for many stay-at-home moms and wives. And they are selling you the opposite of what they say they are selling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's back up a minute and talk about why it's actually shady.
Yes. Okay. Sorry. We got to get there too.
The reason that multi-level marketing is a bad idea is because it's effectively a pyramid scheme, usually. Now, there are two types of pyramid schemes. There are illegal pyramid schemes, which is where the person at the top benefits from people underneath, and so forth and so on.
And there's no product.
And there's no real product. But in multi-level marketing, they're selling products, and so some of your income from the multi-level marketing comes from selling products, but some of it comes from recruiting people to work under you. And the problem is, most of the profits to be gained usually come from the second half of that, which is recruiting people. And that is simply not sustainable. That's the pyramid scheme aspect of it.
Yeah.
There's just not enough people in the world. Ultimately,
if one person asks both of us to sign up with them, and then we both ask 2 people, and then they both all ask 2 people, now we got 8 plus 4 plus 2 plus 1, and they're all funneling money up to us.
Right.
So now they also have to get more and more.
So we're not necessarily bashing the products, because there are plenty there's plenty of multi-level marketing products that are good quality products.
Yep.
But it's the business structure that is dangerous to the people providing it, and only the people at the top of that structure typically make good money.
Yeah, the first 2 levels, I think, usually.
Yeah, the other people underneath them are typically losing money and getting stuck with inventory, or, it's just not a good investment of your time and money, ultimately.
Yeah.
To summarize.
And often, there's a lot of pressure associated once you join as a seller or whatever to continue to sell at certain levels. And so it's you putting yourself in a position with certain ones where now you have added pressure from your employer to spend more money than you can afford.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I think,
or to push on that on other people that you care about.
Right. That's the biggest issue is you have to always keep recruiting, and eventually most people are going to run out of people they can really recruit.
Mm-hmm. And the ones at the bottom
collapses.
Are left with nothing, hopefully, at best, and at worst, less money than they started.
So definitely do your research. If someone approaches you with a opportunity of that nature, look into the company, look into the structure of how you make money. If most of the money being made comes through recruiting new people, you probably need to stay away from that.
Mm-hmm. So I think that kind of wraps up a lot of our common pitfalls for this episode. Thank you for listening. Hope to have you back next time.
That wraps up another empowering episode of the F4 podcast. Remember, it's not just about the dollars and cents, but about building the kingdom of God in every aspect of your life. We hope you've gained valuable insights on how to navigate the world of personal finance while prioritizing faith, family, and fun. Take what you've learned today and apply it with intentionality. Together, let's sow seeds of financial wisdom and make a difference. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe